cosmic rays, guided by etheric ancestors of melanated people, bombard Earth, causing hyperpigmentation in the global populace. Shalom. Welcome to Ralph Reads, brought to you by TURN, the United Ronin Networks. My name is Ralph Anthony Garcia, also known as R4, the legal, the loyal, the regal, the royal, Ronin Ralph, your master of ceremonies. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Join the channel starting at 99 cents per month for exclusive members-only content. Tell a friend to tune in to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. On tonight's edition of Ralph Reads, we're setting things straight like noon on Volume 8 to the tune of Gentleman Pimp, written by Andrew Stonewall Jackson. Passing 7, brethren, we reach gate 8. Let's learn lessons while it ain't too late. On till dawn to the morning stretch. Let the reading commence. Chapter 17. While out on bail, I tried to reach the but as you already know, I failed. I just couldn't get it out of my mind. These two sitting and waiting on some junkie. Yeah, once more I say, fate is a real bitch. When the 38s were first put in my ears, I thought it was a stick-up. Even after they told me who they were, I still thought it was a stick-up. 'Cause I played that cop thing myself many times. It wasn't until we got downtown that I realized it was the real thing. The two cops were really cops. I had taken close to an over amount of heroin when I entered the Tombs prison in the city of New York to await transfer to Sing Sing State Prison. It was in the Tombs that I kicked the hardest habit that I'd ever kicked cold turkey in my life. I made the first day and damn near the second day without sweat, and it was easy going through the usual jailhouse bullshit, answering a lot of things like who's doing what, how long Joe Blow been dealing, how'd I get cracked, who cracked me. And as always, everyone in jail said, "Didn't do it." Maybe one of these times I'll find someone else in jail that's guilty besides me. Soon the lights went out and the place went to sleep. That morning I was really uptight. Nobody had any stuff, but damn near everybody had some works. I was able to get up, but was unable to do any pecking other than drink some juice from the wagon. I began to throw up and ish that green poison. I laid on the floor for 14 days, and the only eating I did was orange juice that I bought off the wagon. I began to shit that green poison all in my pants, and I was sicker than I ever been in my life. During the time I was on the floor, came in my cell and used my bread like they wanted to. An old pal of mine died while kicking his habit cold turkey, and believe me, I thought I wasn't going to make it myself. On the 14th day, I got up and found out that I lost so much weight that my rings just slid off my fingers. My pants wouldn't stay up, and when I looked into the mirror, I looked like death took a holiday, a complete stranger to myself. Then I found I had what addicts call the chucks. The chucks is a state of being so damn hungry from the meals you've missed till you feel like you could eat a wet mop. In my case, it was 14 days without food, and it was 4:30 in the morning when I got up. I found nothing in my cell to eat. I didn't want to call anyone and ask for a helping hand because I'd wake everyone up. So I just sat on the edge of my bunk and waited for the hack to pass, making his rounds so I could hit on him to see if there was a loaf of bread or anything he could find to eat. After what seemed like a lifetime, he showed making his rounds. I stopped him and hit if there was anything left from supper. The hack was righteous. He went and got a loaf of bread and gave me some of his tea that was part of his own lunch. I asked him what time was it just to see if my chimer was right, and he said,
"It's now 5 a.m. and I see you made it, which makes me the winner of about $50. All the other turnkeys were betting you wouldn't make it, and I was taking the bets. But I gotta confess, I wasn't sure I'd win."
"Yeah," I said, "somebody up there likes me."
"Your trip upstate was held up because you wasn't in shape to make it. I'll leave word that you're able to make it now. I know you want to get out of here and get someplace where you can take care of those chucks,"
he cracked. "Thanks, officer," I said. "And you're 100% right. God in heaven knows I want to get to prison so I can eat up the whole damn place." The next morning, I was transferred to Sing Sing, and after the usual quarantine was over, I went to work in the barbershop. I'd say Sing Sing is the largest prison there is. By that, I mean in overall size, because it's understood that Jackson Prison is the largest in population. But Sing Sing is so huge that the New York Central Railroad comes through the center of it. You could see the people in the trains going and coming from their jobs in New York City. And if you were on your job and had a call to the front for something, you have to take a cab to get there. Cabs in Sing Sing are panel trucks with seats in them that take you where you have to go. In the recreation room, there was some 50 gas ranges that cons used to cook on. It's the only prison that I know of where a man can have all the cooking things as a person on the street has. The inmate store is an A&P, and you can buy damn near everything you could buy if you were in the free world. Sing Sing is quite a prison, and all the men try their best to stay there and do their bits, but very few do, and most are sent to other prisons in upstate New York. After all I did to anchor in Sing Sing, was sent to Auburn. If you recall, I told you I sent Carrie to New York back in the 40s to see what she could do for her brother being in the jam while I had her in Mansfield, Ohio. What I didn't hip you to was the fact that I never met him, so I had no idea what he looked like. It was in the 40s when he got in the jam, and now it's in the 50s when I, by the act of fate, happened to meet him in Sing Sing while he was serving time for the very same beef. Now, this is how I met him. One day, while I was on my job in the prison barber shop, a fellow took a squat in my chair for a haircut. This fellow looked so much like Carrie, it caused me to ask, "Say, can I ask you something?"
"Sure,"
he said.
"Go right ahead."
"I'd like to know if you got a sister," I asked.
"Yeah,"
he said.
"I got 5 sisters."
"Tell me, is one of them named Carrie?" I asked. He looked around at me and said,
"Yeah, the oldest one. Her name's Carrie."
"There's no doubt you know of me. My name's Stonewall," I said. He moved around so quick that I damn near jabbed the clippers in his neck. And right then, the haircut stopped for the moment and he said,
"Stonewall Jackson? Man, she talked about you all the time. Stonewall, how about that? Man, she talked about you so much till I feel like I know you myself,"
he said. He went on to say,
"I like what you did when I first got into this jam. She did all she could do, and her help did give me a break."
"Baby," I said, "you mean this is the same beef? Damn, man, you said you got a break, and you still here? How much time did you get?"
"Yeah, Stonewall,"
he said.
"this is the same bit. I got 7.5 to 15. And Daddy, I could have got life or the hot seat for what I did."
"It's been a good pound since that went down, and that's all you do for 7.5, ain't it? You should be ready to pull up soon. It's a bitch. 15 years is 15 years. You gotta do it one way or another, either in or out."
"Stonewall, it's been over a pound,"
he said.
"I've been to the parole board, and they hit me with a year flop. I can't pull up till next year now."
"Well," I said, "you're a lot shorter now than you were from the jump. Say, hit me to something. What has a guy gotta do to anchor here in Sing Sing like you did? I've been living in fear of being on the next draft out of here. Baby, believe me, I like to stay here and do my bit."
"It's hard to do,"
he said.
"if you ain't got folks here in New York to stay on the ass of the people up in Albany. If you got folks in the Apple that will tell them they can't make the trip to visit you if you're somewhere in upstate New York, they might hold you here. That's what my mom did for me."
Well, you can believe it or not, that's how I come to meet Carrie's big brother, and he was indeed a swell guy. I was soon put on a draft and sent to Auburn State Penitentiary. The prison sits in the center of Auburn, New York, with the front gate opening up on State Street. While I was there, I met a white cat that was really hip to the ways of playing a dick. He played it so good till he played past the real New York finest a number of times to my knowledge. He was tall, blonde, and hip, enough to the ways of the FBI to be one. He and I got pretty tight while I was doing my bit there. Every time he got in my barber's chair, we'd go through our police bag thing. And 3 or 4 times a week, we'd go through our detective thing while we'd be on the yard. We had it down pat because we were going to play behind it once we hit the stem. We played behind it once we both were on the stem, and this is how I'm hip to just how bad this guy really was. He played it so tough till he had me on edge one day while we had a bitch in the car right in front of the door of the police station on 123rd Street off 7th Avenue, and the bitch had cuffs on at the time. But I, being the warm and he being the cold, I was able to get her to give up the source of her supplier, which was all we wanted from the jump. But the bitch was a true diehard. This is how we happened to be sitting in front of the police station in the first place. The bitch was gonna go to jail before she gave him up, and it wasn't till I brought up the 3 kids who were also in the car that she broke down and felt she had to give him up or leave her kids in the street while she did her time. We thought for a moment that we would have to turn this thing into a stick-up, and neither one of us wanted to do that. We played this thing for 3 years, and out of all the people we busted, we only had to rough stick up 3 of them. He didn't use any heroin, but he did use cocaine. This meant all the horse was mine and half the bread. And my dear reader, the bread was quite long indeed. While I was making my bit, I learned that the high one had somehow killed one of his girls. His mom spent a lot of bread fighting his case, and she had to down one of the rides to help put him on the street. Yeah, the high one beat that beef and picked up another one that was even harder on a cat like the high one. And that was Joe Chink, a monster of a habit. And any habit that's a New York one is by all means a true son of a bug and no shit that ain't did nothing but pimp since he was 16 years old. He had stopped buying a new hog every year. He had ended his bondsman thing. In short, old Joe Chink had stepped in and ended his whole way of life. He had allowed himself to become hooked on the one thing he'd always disliked. It hurt me to see him like this, and I feel deep down inside that this turnaround in his life was because he had killed, by accident of course, a real top-notch girl of his. I never mentioned it to him. In fact, I've never mentioned her at all since it happened, and she was a very dear friend of mine also. I should never forget her as long as I live. Soon the time came for me to split Auburn prison. I had did my bit. The whole 1326 was mashed out, and there was one thing about getting out of New York Penitentiary that amazed me. When the day came for you to pull out of Jackson, they would f*** around for 5 or 6 hours before you be on the bus going home. But Auburn prison didn't put you through a lot of bullshit before they set you on the outside. The week before I was split, I picked out my vine. So now that was taken care of, and this is how fast I was set on the street. The year was 1956. I was dressed out in the vine that I picked, and I walked into an office and picked up my bread. I then walked through another office and shook hands with the warden. I walked to the front gate with a hack, and he put a key that was close to a foot long in the gate and turned it. The gate opened. He stepped out on State Street with me and pointed down the street and said,
"When you get to that light, turn left and you'll see the bus station. Get the bus that will take you to Syracuse. Then take the train for wherever you're going, and good luck."
Chapter 18. From the time I put on that monkey-ass vine till the time I hit State Street, it only took 17 minutes. And if that's not real quick when you're getting out of prison, I'll kiss your ass anywhere you name. When I reached the Apple, I got off the train at the 125th Street station, and I was too late to learn how much my bread had earned in the 2.5 years I've been gone. So I'll look into that tomorrow. It was raining like hell, and believe it or not, I didn't know which way 7th Avenue was. I looked for the marquee of the Apollo Theater to get a make on my next move. It was ironic because I've had a few ribs that worked the bar just a few steps east of the station. I dug the marquee, so I headed that way, going to the High Ones pad. And the rain was doing tricks with this stiff-ass vine I had on. While walking west, I was on the lookout for an empty cab. An old con and fake named Frank saw me, and I guess he thought he found a live one and tried to dip on me. When he dug who I was, he greeted me with his well wishes. He was a pretty good fake in his day, but he couldn't show his mug around any of the dampers in the apple, so I gave him £1 and grabbed a cab. I had a few hundred in my kick and another pair of Stetson shoes under my arm, and I had a whole lot of catching up to do. I got to the boss of Pimp's pad, and when I first saw him, I really didn't like what I saw. I guess I didn't like the fact that my man, God's gift to all females, was an addict, and that he hadn't yet changed his 1955 Eldorado, which wasn't like him at all. As far as I was concerned, the High One sold more dick since he was 16 than any of any time. And now Mr. Joe Chink had him, and it hurt me. Now that I'm back in the apple, I will give you a quick rundown on the kind of fix I'm in. While I mashed out my bit, I never touched the bread I had in the bank, and it was pulling in 4.5% interest. I had little over $1,000 in my kick, so as far as bread was concerned, I was in very good shape. Plus, and most important, I was free of the most worthy Joe Chink. The only time the High One had seen me without a habit was during our school days, but ever since we were adults, I had a Jones. Yet, I had never once tried to pull him into the way of life of a fool. And yet, while we sat and rapped, he was hooked and I was clean. A bitch, ain't it? The High One hit me that satin had did her bit and went back to Toledo. I thought about running her down and try to recop, but I never did. In fact, I haven't seen her since. I asked the High One to let me have his ride so I could get downtown and get out of this real bogue front I still had on, and he tossed me the Twisters and asked me to get him something from the store. I told him righteous, and I split. I drove to the bar on 118th Street and double parked out front. I went in the bar still wearing that funny-looking getup, and all the fellows gave me their phony greetings, and some of them laid some chips on me. None of them cracked on me and my monkey-ass vine. I guess they all understood. After I got cool from the drinks the fellows had bought me, I went to the Teresa Hotel and caught me a suite for a month. I parked the High One's wheel in the garage on 124th Street between 7th and Lenox Avenues, went to the subway and copped the A train that Duke made so famous, and went downtown to get sharp and pick something up for my man, the High One. After doing this, I went back uptown to catch me some doss. I got up early that morning and ding-dong Corrie, and this time I caught her home. After she said hello, I said,
"Hey there, with the stars in your eyes. How are you? I hope you've been missing me like I've missed you."
She knew me from my voice like I knew her from hers.
"Stony Daddy, when did you get home? How you feel? Your voice sounds wonderful and happy,"
she cracked.
"You never missed anyone in your life, but it's good to hear you say so."
"Thanks,"
I said.
"I got home yesterday, my love. I'm starved to death for the nearness of you. When can I see you?"
"Stony,"
she said,
"I gotta be in Manhattan at 9, and by the time I take care of my business, it'll be around midnight, so we'll meet at our bar on 118th Street. Is that okay?"
"Righteous,"
I said.
"Now give me a taste of that Cuban honey to hold me till midnight."
She blew a kiss through the phone. When I reached the bar on 118th Street, my star hadn't got there yet, so I stepped out of the bar and smoked some of the Queen's Major League pot with a pal of mine. After we smoked a few joints and killed about an hour, Carrie pulled up in a cab. I walked to the cab and held the door open for the goddess, who was as clean as a female could get.
El tipo chulo. Hello, good looking,
She said.
Carrie, when a cat wants a fine, tasty dog, such as you, he's gotta look good, or some other might beat him to the punch. And baby, taking a dish like you to a bar like this is like taking a sandwich to a banquet. And love, if some should beat me to the punch right now, God, baby, I really don't know what I'd do.
She gave me that cute smile, and when we entered the bar, every hungry pimp in the place started to drip at the mouth while looking at her and at the same time speaking to me with their wet, juicy chips. After the Wolfmen split, she said,
Stoney, you always look so good when you come home for a bit. And God knows, you not only look good, but you smell so nice also.
Thanks. Did your brother hip you to how I come to make him?
Yeah, he told me all about it. You know what? He thinks the world of you.
What's he doing now? And where is he doing it at?
Believe it or not,
she said.
he's doing a little macking, and that's something new with him. His hangout is still Lower Manhattan around Broadway.
Well, we rapped and had drinks till we were cool, and I hit on her if she wanted something to eat. We slid out of the bar and went around the corner to El Mundial's on 116th Street so she could cop some Spanish food. Carrie had a big meal and she enjoyed every bit of it. After she had a glass of chilled wine to wash her dinner down, we went to my hotel and got down to the business at hand. In every degree. Since I hadn't had a female in 2.5 years, you should know just how starved I was for it. And now I was gonna feed my starvation with the queen of my life. Once we were in bed, we put an animal kind of vicious or salocious on each other. We made all kinds of love. Old love, new love, odd love. Strange love, upside down love, backward love, love, my dear reader, of all kinds, without pulling any punches. She clawed my back like an animal, and the odd thing about it was she didn't know she was doing it till I sat up after the thrill was over.
Oh, Stoney. Oh, my daddy. What have I done? Daddy, please forgive me. I swear, I didn't know what I was doing.
Carrie, my love, I said, was so carried away till I didn't know, nor did I give a damn, that you were ripping me up. To me, sweetheart, it's a wonderful thing for a man to set his woman in motion while he's f***ing her to the point she's unaware of what she's doing. It proves the man is top-notch at what he's doing. Forget about it. Just keep on loving me that way. We rapped till we got sleepy, and I put one of her well-shaped and very firm seeds in my jib and went on to slumber. After we came back to life from that brief but tasty bit of death, I said,
Gee, baby, my back feels like it's on fire. I think it's wise if I go to have it looked at the same time, get me a lockjaw shot as an ounce of prevention. But I want you to tell me 2 things right now. First, how bad does my back look to you? It feels like hell to me. Second, I'd like to know right now, baby doll, if you will come out of retirement and be my rib, just long enough for me to get a good girl.
Stoney,
she said.
Once more. Just once more. 'Cause you are the kind of guy that just can't seem to dig the meaning of money. Daddy, right now, with me alone in your life, you should have everything that bread can buy. But oh no, not you, my sweets. Yeah, Daddy, I'll be a fool once more.
She leaned over and started to kiss the wounds on my back, with tears running down the cheeks of her face. Yeah, she was really a true trooper, and she came close to causing me to shed a few tears. The bitch was 100% right in everything she said. I was a prize fool. Still, the game must go on, rain or shine, and she had given me the green light, and I didn't plan on pushing it. A year was all that I needed, if I needed that much. After that was understood, I told her to come on and go to the hospital with me. My back was burning like hell and looked like I'd been in a fight with a Bengal tiger in the phone booth. We took a bath, got dressed, and I balled up the bed sheets and dropped them at the door so the maid wouldn't dig the bloodstains of our insane madness. When we reached the hospital, she didn't want to go in with me. I guess she didn't want it known that she was the guilty party. I was sent to a nurse that was indeed a fine, choice black bitch. She was tall, about 29 years of age, but built nice. When I took off my shirt and sat down with my back to her, she said,
Gee, she really did get excited, didn't she?
"Just a little toying around with a friend," I cracked.
Yes,
She said,
I know it was a friend, and a very close one at that.
"I see by your nameplate that you're Miss Nelson. I wonder why a female that's as lovely as you are hasn't stolen some guy's name by now. Tell me, have you ever reached a point in your young life where you were arrested with the bliss that will cause a woman to do to her man what has been done to me?"
Now, I think that's a rather personal question.
She said with that friendly smile. "Well, Miss Nelson, this is a personal world in which we live. You and I are adults, so why can't we speak as such? I doubt if you're the only female that has a guy that's not quite up to pat in his events. Many men are inadequate in a little attempt to satisfy their mate, and I feel the woman is half to blame. You see, Miss Nelson, I feel the female should tell the male which moves to make when he himself isn't wise. And by you being a nurse and knowing all these things, I believe you can make a wizard out of."
I'm through with your back. Now please get ready for a lockjaw shot.
I was standing up and about ready to drop my pants when she said,
There will be no need to do that. You can take it in your arm.
since I wanted her to dig my I had to ice that in the arm. This bitch had to see my because I felt she was already steaming. And it was her actions that made me feel that way. I felt the rapping that I was doing had put heat in her. And I also felt this big fine shit was ready to be had. And I swear I wanted to upset her even more. "Let me take it in the hip."
All right, take him down.
I couldn't help saying, "I wish we were somewhere else and you asked me to take 'em off." She didn't say anything, but I could dig her blushing. I dropped my pants, but she got in back of me to avoid seeing my hanker. And all he him. I turned to hit her where to hit me, and she turned right along with me and hit me with the shot. Then I turned around and faced her where she couldn't miss seeing my and she froze for a few seconds while hawking. After I upset her day, I pulled up my pants and shorts and split. Chapter 19. Yeah, it was about right here in my life that I was played for a sucker a couple of times. The first time was when I met a hen at a girlfriend's dope joint on 7th Avenue and 120th Street. The girl that I had the pad was a real good pal of mine, and I spent a great deal of time in her apartment shooting speedballs, and I say to Queenie, she had the best cocaine and horse in Manhattan. The cocaine at Diane's was so good that I caught me a room in Diane's place just to be near the stuff. Now there was this bitch that thought so much of the Jones till she started to turn a lot of her tricks at the pad. When she finished her date, she spent the bread with me and Diane. Why me? Well, it was her way of letting me know she kinda liked me. Her name was Rose, and she really liked heroin, cocaine, morphine, and every narcotic you can name. Yep, I call it the course of life. Rose and me got pretty damn tight. At least I thought so. I had been checking her trap for more than a week and found it worthy and well-founded enough so that I felt it was righteous to step in on her. After I'd been checking her trap for over a week, she said she wanted to be my woman. Now, any cat that knows anything about the pimp game knows that if a girl wants him and has proven it in a whore's way, he must without a doubt step in on it. Well, Rose had proven herself, and I was ready to accept her regardless of what it might cost. After we reached an understanding, I told her we'd get a place tomorrow and start the show rolling. It was then that she said,
"It can't be did that easy, Stoney.
Why, Rose? What's in our way?
The guy I had has all my things,
she said.
and I don't think he'll give them up since I stayed away from him since we met. Stoney, I can't go to him after being gone for more than a week and hit on him to give me my things. Plus, I ain't got a dime to give him."
Look, I said.
Do you think I know this fellow?
"I doubt if you ever met him before. The nigga's name is Ace."
Ace?
I said.
Is he the Ace that got the business in 118th Street between St. Nick and 8th Avenue?
"That's the same Ace.
She said.
And he is one real bitch. You know him. I seen the two of you together a number of times."
Yeah, Rose. I know him. I've known him for a long time, and you're 100% right. He ain't gonna go for you showing up with no bread after a week in the wind. So, baby, ain't but one thing to get understood. Are you willing to tell him you've picked me for your man?
"Yeah, sure, I'll tell him. If you're with me."
She said.
Then, Rose, get ready to split. We're gonna go to his place and get an understanding.
I then went to Diane and got her gun because he was a hard pimp and just might not accept this kind of ish. The only thing I had going for me was the fact that Ace wasn't a kid, but a man who had pimped long enough to know just how the pimp game goes. Who knows? He may have did this same thing to some nigga in his time. When a man's woman plans to split on him, and this thought is in her mind, there is nothing any man can do about it. And Ace just could be the kind of man who'd realize that. Yeah, he might be smart enough to know a woman's mind is like the wind, and if he plays out of that force bag, he might just end up in prison for a pandering rap. If this happens, he's out of it, and the bitch is free to make whichever move she wants to. A true pimp will think before he acts. Yeah, it's a drag to blow a girl, and it hurts right where you live. But if you have to kill a guy about something like this, he is out of it forever, and you'll end up in the joint doing all day, and that leaves the rib-free and fair game for anybody. Whichever the case, the rib is the winner, and the talk that remains over the two dead clowns will be
just two dead that died over a black, nappy-head, funky bitch.
But being tied up in this game made it my duty to accept this bitch, even if it had to be over the smell of gun smoke. With Diane's gun in my kick, me and Rose left to confront Ace. When we reached his place, I went in to get an understanding with him. Ace was standing by the jukebox, and I walked over to him and said,
"Hi, baby. How's it been going for you, old dude?"
Hey, guy, when did you show? How long you been up?
"I was blessed with my liberty about 3 weeks ago."
It's good to see you. Here,
he said while holding out a $50 bill.
put this in your pocket. It ain't much, but it's the best I could do right now. I got a girl somewhere in the streets of Manhattan that's giving me road trouble.
Damn, I said to myself. This is really going to be hard to do. I got to tell a guy that his missing girl has been with me after he offered me a $5 bill. Then I said to myself, hell, that's how the game is. What will be, will be. So I said,
"Nay, Daddy. I'm righteous as far as bread is concerned. And the reason I'm here is because of that missing girl of yours. Ace, old dude. Rose has been with me since you saw her last. Believe me, I didn't know she was yours till this morning, and by then, it was too tardy."
Stonewall,
he cracked.
do you mean you've only been out of the joint 3 weeks? And in that time, you've been with that black, funky, dirty bitch of mine? Where's she at now?
"Look, I didn't take the bread from you because I've been spreading your chips for the past week. Baby, I'm fresh out of the joint and I'm hungry for help. So try to dig my point of view. Rose wants to leave you. Why, I don't know, but she wants me, and you know I gotta want her."
Yeah,
he said.
Where's she now?
He was real grim and real bitter, and I could understand it. I was hawking him like he was a wild tiger, and I was ready to protect myself at any second. While looking him in the eye, I said,
"Before I bring her to you, I want you to know that the girl is my girl, not yours. And I'm like any other Ace. I don't want no one punching on my girl. I think you feel the same. With that in your mind, you can come around the edge and see Rose."
Ace looked at me real hard, and I could understand everything that was passing through his mind. He was blowing 7 or 8 bills a week, and I knew from that feeling I had when Carrie split on me. This was the moment. Was Ace a giant, or was he a fool? Whichever the case, I had to play it out, whatever the climax would be. Would there be the smell of gun smoke on 118th Street? Or would there be the parting of 2 adults? After rounding the edge of 116th Street into St. Nicholas Avenue, we stopped in front of Rose. I was behind him with my hand in my pocket, gripping the gun, when Rose looked at him and said,
"Ace, I've chosen Stonewall for my man. Will you give us the keys so I can get my things?"
He looked at her for a few moments. Then he looked at me with contempt, and a ton of things went unsaid. As he passed the acid test of being a giant, he reached into his pocket and gave the twisters to me, and then he turned and walked back around the edge. Yeah, he was indeed a man. Rose and I went and picked up all her things and moved into an apartment on 151st Street and Broadway. The very next day, I picked up 1/4 kilo of 19-to-1 heroin, and I was bagging it up when Rose said she was going to go downstairs to the store. I let her out and went back to what I was doing. Then I heard a knock on the door, so I placed a New York News over the Jones and got up to answer the door. When I got to the door, I asked, "Who?" And she said,
"Me."
And I opened it up. Yeah. It was her, all right. Her and 2 of New York's finest. I looked at her in sheer amazement, and I thought,
This dirty, funky, rotten-ass bitch had brought him to the pad to bust me.
but why? She knew what I was doing when she left, so she had to be getting me cracked for dope. Then one of the officers said,
She just wants you to let her have her things without any trouble. That's the only reason why we're here.
Sure, officer, she can have him, but God knows she didn't need police to help to get him.
Well, She stopped us and she said she wanted to leave without a fight.
Well, she didn't need to repack because she never unpacked in the first place. So the dirty bitch picked up her shit and split. I got through bagging the Jones and I sat there and thought how much of a sucker I'd really been. The nigga didn't want me for her fellow. This nigga just wanted me to free her from the pressure of Ace. I think Ace will be reading this book, so I'd like to say to him that I'm really sorry that I was the cause of this black bitch getting from under the pimp game he was putting on her. And of course he knows I did the right thing and it was far from a violation of the Mackin game. God knows it was that I was a sucker. I only regret that it was him, a top-notch pimp. Had it been one of those Bush League pimps, it wouldn't have been such a paramount drag to me. And a fellow that's a pimp at heart hates to be played for a sapsucker. We conclude, girls and dudes, done with the 8th volume on Ralph Reads. I would like, or rather love, to thank you, queens and kings, fellow royalty, for stopping by. If you would like to leave a small donation or connect with me on social media, please go to www.solo.to/RGMC2407. Go to YouTube, Facebook, PayPal, Cash App, X, IG, Threads, or send an email to the Gmail at RGMC2407. Follow the Art of Bounce podcast via its own YouTube channel or wherever you stream your favorite podcasts, like Amazon, Spotify, or Apple. Tune in to Force Fed Digital and the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Fellow royalty, pick up a good book, read a good story, and set your good self free. I appreciate you and I love you like cooked food. I will see you folks in the next edition of this Andrew Stonewall Jackson miniseries on Ralph Reads. I work hard for that gas, grass, or cold hard cash. In fact, I leave an impact that lasts.
Stay tuned for more audio readings of Rising Death by Ralph Garcia and the Ronin Network. Get turned up with Turn. Check us out.
The United Ronin Networks and Phenomenal Books presents the audio reading